The Good Liars.
The Good Liars?
This is boring. We're boring. I will die standing in my boots.
Herschel, I got you some condoms.
What made everyone so weird and sad that they had to come out here?
Mr. President, welcome to the show.
We are the Good Liars, and we are going to tell the truth. Trust us. Welcome to the Good Liars Tell the Truth. I am Jason Selvig.
And I'm DeVrom Stiefler, and we are the Good Liars.
And we may be the Good Liars, but on this show, we are going to tell you the truth. And today, we are going to tell you the truth about the NRA. The NRA recently held their annual convention in Dallas, Texas. And today, we're going to be talking about the NRA convention in Houston, Texas in 2022, which I had the distinct honor of attending. Very memorable weekend. We're gonna dive into that.
That's right. I was not able to attend this particular one, so I kind of am excited to hear a little bit about it from
because we didn't talk about it once. We never spoke.
Yeah,
of it
never came up.
Time.
Just never
came up. All right, so let's get into it. The truth about the experience at the NRA convention 2022. Thoughts and prayers.
Mm-hmm. Thoughts and prayers. That's a phrase that goes along with a lot of the tragedies that go along in the United States with gun violence. Just a little bit of background on the NRA. I think people know what it is. It's the National Rifle Association of America. So it should be the NRAA, actually, now that I think about it.
Interesting.
But it's a gun rights advocacy group. Obviously, they're based in the United States, home of the Second Amendment, founded in 1871 to advance rifle marksmanship. But now the NRA is this prominent gun rights lobbying organization as we know it to exist today.
So at the beginning, it was just about like shooting straight, like making sure you're hitting your targets.
I think
that was their main goal.
It's what it sounds like. It's about rifle marksmanship. So, like, if you needed to know how to use your gun better, you wanted to learn how to use your gun straighter, you might you might belong to the NRA. But obviously, it's transformed. It's a prominent gun rights lobbying organization, and they continue to teach firearms safety. I don't know if in your experience there, people were talking a lot about marksmanship or not.
You know what? Maybe a couple people, but most of it was like a couple of the booths that you saw there. There was some marksmanship stuff, and they had like little simulators and things like that. But most of it was a crippling fear that the left was going to come and take the guns away, and there was a very big sense of identity for a lot of people there, was being a gun owner.
According to the NRA, now it has nearly 5 million members. That's of December 2018 from this Wikipedia, which we love to use as one of our sources. From opensecrets.org here, it looks like congressional candidates have received 95.75% of donations from the NRA if they are Republicans. So it's just like a partisan thing here.
So 95% of the money that the NRA spends goes towards Republicans.
That's right. Shock.
Okay.
Shock. You're an utter shock, I can tell. Mitt Romney of Utah received $13.6 million. Tom Tillis from North Carolina, $5.6 million. Down to number 10, Josh Hawley, receiving $1.3 million. So whether we like it or not, Jason, you're pumping your fist here because you are kind of a Josh Hawley lookalike.
Yeah, I was doing a Josh Hawley.
The Capitol.
Yeah, exactly. Tried to do it. That was my impression. I don't have a good Josh Hawley impression.
For the listeners out there, Jason is doing a kind of a fist pump to the crowd. Famously, Josh Hawley, as he was kind of amping up the crowd pre-January 6th. Such an iconic moment. Such a moment to be proud of.
Yeah, it was a great moment in American history.
So they say they're about gun safety. We've kind of covered that. They donate to Republicans. All of this to advocate for more guns and more gun loopholes, it seems like. So what are your thoughts about that? About the NRA and their marksmanship and their gun safety versus what they actually do?
Well, it seems from my experience on the ground, and I've been to 2 of them now, that everyone there is about protecting the right to own guns more than the safety element of it. Because a lot of the
Right.
stuff that they have there, the messaging is not really safe. It's like, come and take it. And I'm not giving away my guns.
You know, as you talked about, you've attended more than one NRA convention. I was at the second one, so I can attest that they're truly kind of like bizarre experiences, especially like coming from New York. You don't see a lot of guns. Guns aren't a big part of everyday life.
I'm giving you a little look right now, Devon, because I actually do have a story about guns from this past week. I went to Target.
In New York?
In New York.
Yeah.
In Brooklyn. Went to Target, and as I was leaving, there was like an altercation between a guy walking my direction and a guy walking the opposite direction. And I got there when the guy, who was like an older gentleman, had like a piece of wood. It almost looked like a cane, but it wasn't a cane. And he threw it back at the other guy, and they were calling each other very bad words, the B word, the P word, lots of words. And one guy, the guy who threw the stick or cane or whatever at the other guy, was like, I got a gun on me, I'll shoot you right now. And then the guy who was like right by me holds up like a little man purse thing, and he says, I've got a gun right here, I'll shoot you.
Whoa.
And I got in the middle and was like, hey guys, calm
say,
down.
yeah,
Everything's going to be
probably.
fine. There's probably more that connects us than divides us. No, I walked fast and tried not to make eye contact.
That would have
with anybody
worked,
there.
though.
So to answer your question about the guns, like, hey, it's not legal here. There are guns in New York.
There are guns.
I mean, we hear people say that to us at the NRA conventions, like
Right.
Chicago, New York, like
Right.
people. These guys, I believed them when they said they had guns.
Right.
I think that the next step was one of them coming out.
But it's different at the NRA convention, right? It's different at the NRA convention. When you go in there, it's like a huge gun fetish expo. Like it could be the same thing as like a porn convention or a comic book convention, or it's like, it's all the glorification of whatever this thing is. But it's guns. But at the NRA convention, it's guns. So obviously it's a huge MAGA contingent, but I think the crowd is a little bit different. Would you agree?
Yeah. I think it's different in that, there's a lot of people that are, you see a lot of MAGA hats, not the same as a Trump rally or anything like that.
Right.
And Trump obviously speaks. I think at this one that we're going to talk about in Houston, Ted Cruz was speaking, Donald Trump was speaking. They were the big speakers. They were wondering, I wonder if they're going to speak. We'll get
Right.
to why soon. But it's definitely a more MAGA crowd, but they're not there to worship Donald Trump. They're there to,
Right.
I guess, worship
Not
guns.
to the same
It's
degree.
different.
Worshiping guns, exactly. There's there's just as many camo hats or more camo hats than there are MAGA hats. Just before we get into your specific experience at the 2022 NRA convention, did you have experience with guns growing up? You grew up in Louisville. Were guns a part of your life at all?
No, not at all. Not at all. Some of my family, like my cousins, my uncle, they're still very much into guns, but never really came up to me. Nobody ever was like, there's never peer pressure for me to
To buy a
fire
gun?
Well, it's like, come shoot guns with us or whatever.
Yeah. I think I
But,
probably did it like once or twice growing up in Colorado, but I didn't really have that strong of opinions on guns. I mean, my family didn't have guns until Columbine happened when I was in high school, and that was crazy. That was when I started to think about like, who owns guns? How many guns are out there? Like kids my age, like have guns. I think there might have even been gun racks, like shotguns racks in the backs of trucks of people at my high school. I'm pretty sure you could drive into the parking lot with a shotgun because that was just like farm life. Anyway, so all that to say, that's the NRA. That's guns. That's kind of generally what these conventions are like. It's guns everywhere. It's gun worship. But why don't you get into what happened at the 2022 NRA convention?
Well, we were discussing whether or not we wanted to go. I know you couldn't go, and it was definite that you could not go. And the Uvalde shooting had just happened in Texas. I think 3 hours from Houston, or thereabouts.
Right.
And it was horrific. I think everyone remembers it was a horrific thing. And the NRA convention was going to happen, and people were like, "Are they going to cancel it? This seems like really in poor taste to have it here when this terrible thing happened." And no, they decided it was going to be a go, and they were kind of defiant about it. And it seemed like an important place to go to go and to talk to people there. So made a last second decision the day before, basically, to buy tickets, get people to shoot, film. I should say film.
You have to say film in a situation like this.
Yes. To
Capture video footage.
And go to Houston, Texas. And I remember the night before, because it was so last minute, there was almost like an adrenaline for like making the decision and finally like coming to like, okay, we're going to go. And bought the tickets, went to bed. I had to wake up at 5:30 to get like a 7:30 flight or whatever it was. I did not sleep literally the entire night, and went to the airport. Was like, oh, I can sleep on the flight. It's a 4-hour flight. No, I did not. I could not sleep on the flight.
Yeah, who
I don't
can
know what
sleep
it was.
on flights anymore? I feel like after the age of like 25 or something, I used to just like pass out, and now flights.
So the
are
last
just, like,
6 months have been like
anxiety. That's right.
So I did not sleep at all. Did not sleep at all on the flight, and just went out there and started filming right away.
Nothing to wake you up like just guns everywhere.
I know. And it wasn't just to set the scene. It was at the Houston Convention Center, which outside of it, there was a giant protest because this mass shooting just happened, and a giant protest in the square across the street. So it was like a very charged scene. Like you had people yelling from both sides at people, and the one side that were yelling from the NRA, you just knew they all had guns on them. That's what was so crazy about them yelling, you know?
Yeah.
It was really, really intense. But then we started filming, we started interviewing some people. And I think like midday, after probably like at 3 p.m., while this big fuss was happening, like this protest and the people across the street.
And you're talking about a protest that was basically, it was there because it was happening so soon after and so close by Uvalde. Yes. It wasn't that there aren't these protests at every NRA convention. This was one that had particular importance.
Yes, exactly. So it was very tense. It was very tense. And then I saw a guy, an older gentleman, who had a Confederate flag on his shirt. And this is one of the first, probably of the first like 6 people interviewed that day. And he had a Confederate flag shirt that said, keep it flying, and with a big Confederate flag on it. And
what do Confederate flags have to do with marksmanship?
That's a great question. We should have asked Wayne LaPierre that.
Just keep it flying.
Keep it flying? And why do you want to keep it flying?
Why would anybody want to erase our heritage?
Well, some people would say that flag symbolizes racism. It symbolizes slavery, and they might have some valid points there.
That's their opinion. You know, they're welcome to their opinion if they want it.
Are you pro-slavery or against slavery?
I have no comment. But thank you for the interview.
I'll give you one more chance. Pro or anti-slavery?
No comment.
I'll give you one more opportunity to say if you're pro or anti-slavery.
No comment.
All right. Well, there you have it. No comment on the if you're in favor of slavery or not. So no comment was where we landed on that from that guy. No comment.
What a political answer. No comment. That's a tough question. Not willing to say anything I might regret right now, so I'll just go with no comment.
I would say it's like almost the opposite of a political
Right.
answer. It seems like a softball thing to ask.
I know, but wouldn't you just hope and think that if anybody wanted to be taken seriously as a gun safety advocate, and that's why they were at the NRA, that they might be like, you know what, maybe the Confederate flag guy's got to go. I guess I'm just saying it's very telling that
you're like the
he's at home
higher ups
there.
should be like they should not feel at home,
or just other people be like, that's not why we're here. But
I think that's fair.
Yeah.
And I will say, like, it wasn't that there were people of color there. Like, it was not. It was probably only 99.6% white people there.
Got it.
So, yeah, honestly, that's probably about the right.
That's probably about exactly correct.
Yeah.
But you talked to some more people. It seemed like there was no shortage of people who were excited to talk about guns. Again, aftermath of this horrible shooting and doing it right there. I wasn't there, but I guess I was just surprised that people showed just as much excitement as ever.
One thing that we've heard, and it's kind of like something you hear, like maybe you'd see like a tweet from somebody about this or something, and I think it was an Onion headline at one point that was like, you need to arm teachers, like that's the solution. And it was kind of like so ridiculous that no one ever thought that somebody would actually say that that is a actual solution for school shootings, is arming the teachers. But I talked to somebody that was his solution.
You're not going to go into a building with all the teachers armed.
So you'd like the teachers to carry weapons?
Yeah, everybody should be allowed to carry a weapon, except maybe on an airplane.
Right. So teachers should have a weapon on them in the classroom?
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you think that would be intimidating for the students to have their teacher with a gun?
Oh, I want him there.
And so teachers with guns, possible solution.
Yeah, I know it is. And they need to put to death all these people who are on death row.
You want to put them to death?
Put them to death quickly.
You want to kill all those people?
Yeah, the killing. Yeah, that it is. They ought to have public execution where everybody sees it.
You believe in public execution?
Old days.
Old days.
I'm all for public execution.
And what are your thoughts on abortion?
I'm against it, boys. It's murder. That's why I got this shirt right here.
Wait. You said you're against abortion.
Yeah, it's murder.
You want to bring back public executions.
Yeah.
I just wanted to make sure I got the info there. Okay.
All right. Public execution, everybody can see it. Bring your lunch and drink your favorite drink, and we'll watch the execution. And people will say, well,
seems normal.
Huh?
Seems normal. Why not?
Yeah.
Yeah. There's so much to unpack there, but he wanted.
It's like you could do you need to dissect like each 15-second block of that
parts.
videos. Yeah.
But he
Let's
wanted
go one
to
by one.
arm teachers and felt that was going to be safer for students. More guns.
Yes, and I talked to several people that thought this, and we talked about this. I think it's just like you mentioned that you had like a teacher that like beat you up in a basketball game or something like that. Or something.
I had a teacher, so I was playing intramural basketball, and me and a friend were proud of our very pesky defense. So we were like really getting lots of steals, and at one point I was about to steal the ball, and the teacher just wheeled back and just punched me.
Punched you in the face,
middle of the game. And
that's not how I remember the story. I thought he like shoved you, but he actually
maybe it was like he put the ball in one hand and then just elbowed me or something.
Okay,
it was
that's you're changing your story here a little bit.
Yeah, I'm changing my story a little bit. I'm remembering more clearly. It was so obviously violent, and the reason that he'd done it, that the game stopped and he was ejected. So it wasn't much different than a punch.
What did he teach?
Oh man, I don't know. Martial arts, I don't know.
Was he really martial art? I mean, it's just
No,
funny because it's thinking about like your econ teacher being like punching you.
History
like,
or
not
something.
being able,
I mean,
yeah.
So
he couldn't control his rage enough at one of his students that he like threw a punch or elbowed. I don't know. Story keeps changing here. But he did
and
that,
as far
and
as
we
I
should
know,
give him a gun. We should give him a gun.
That's same teacher, I believe. I'm not, don't quote me on this. This was secondhand information that he was later fired for assaulting a student.
Oh,
so
again. yeah.
So yeah, it's kind of would stand to reason that nobody's perfect. Some people have anger problems. Guns in teachers' rooms, like they're not cops. They're not trained military. In a lot of instances, they're just regular people. Some of them suck and have anger problems. So,
but also some of them are 78 years old,
right,
and frail, and giving them a gun, is that going to be good? Like, I don't know. It's just like you bring a gun, and all the statistics are, if there's a gun someplace, it's the likelihood of somebody getting shot in that area like goes up, a huge percentage. It's just like there would be more shootings. It might not be like the mass shootings.
Like if you walk into a room with 100 hot dogs in it, you might eat a hot dog.
I don't know why the
I'm
liberals
just working it out in my head. If there's a
Okay.
bunch of hot dogs somewhere, a hot dog might get eaten. If there aren't hot dogs, there's no one's going to eat a hot dog. I'm not sure it's 1-to-1 there, but I remember reading a stat. It's like 120.5 guns or something for every 100 people in the United States. And that's like, those are the ones people that are reported, I guess. There's probably a lot more. There's something like 500 million guns in the United States. And it is obviously by no coincidence that there are more mass shootings and gun deaths. Like they're available. They exist.
Well, that's not what my sources tell me at the NRA convention, DeVrom, unfortunately.
Right.
Last thing I want to say about this guy, the turn to public execution, there's like a couple moments in videos where I like have genuine moments where like you see my face just like, what the fuck? Where did we get?
Yeah.
How did we fucking get here? Him turning from like teachers have guns to, and you know what is going to solve all the problems? Public executions. You grab something to eat, you grab your favorite drink.
Yeah,
like it's just like the way he said it was just like, and then you're going to go watch the new Avengers movie.
It was
grab
incredible
Yeah.
that he's not like, and also I believe they should execute people on death row. He's like, and it should be fun. Hell, why not?
Should be fun. We'll see. Maybe we'll be first in line when
NRA convention.
Yeah. So, that was a guy I talked to. I feel like we missed two beats of that maybe were important too, but we can move on. I know he said some other things there.
Wild stuff.
Wild
but
things.
Not everyone there seemed so, I guess, I don't know, uninformed. There were some people who like were ready with some like actual information for you, right?
Statistics. Yes. They really hammered the details. They really hit the nail on the head with the statistics element of it all. And this is one of those guys who really had his statistics down.
More people and more crime is committed, and more people are killed with hammers every year than guns. Look at the facts.
I will look that up. I don't think that's true, actually.
That is true.
In the United States, though?
Yes, sir. That is true. Look it up. It's on. You can Google it. It's true. It's actually true.
So the number of murder victims and the weapons used. Okay, number 1, handguns, 8,029. Number 2, firearms, type not stated, 4,863. Number 3, knives or cutting instruments, personal weapons, fists, feet. Then rifles at 455. Then blunt objects, clubs, hammers, 393. The 300, the hammers, that stat is just wrong.
Back to your question. Second Amendment is still my right, and it's still important to me.
I also want to say that question was maybe one that I asked 8 minutes before we got into the hammers thing. I think it was not involved in that the hammers discussion that
Right,
we were talking about.
right.
So it was really going back in time.
It's good to talk to someone who really gets it, though. Some people
Yes.
are all out there being wild, talking about public executions and all that stuff. But this guy was like a little more of a numbers guy.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, he seemed like a nice enough guy, but his numbers were wrong. And at the end of the interview, I asked him, I said, now that you've seen these stats, because, in between that in the video, I look up a website, and I don't just find the first website. I'm like, let's find this website together and see which one we both agree, like, this is going to be statistics that we both trust. And he was like, I can't look at an article from CNN. I can't look there. And then we found the government stats or whatever it was. And then, so after he saw that, the website that he had picked with me to find this information, I said, are you still going to tell people this from now on, now that you know it's not true? And he's like, well, a friend of mine told it to me years ago. He's an EMT. So yeah, I'm going to still tell people that.
Oh, man.
So he's still telling
that must be a good
hammers
friend. That's a trusted friend.
Yeah. So it was wild. It was wild. But after this, like you could tell, like the sun's kind of setting at this point. A very important thing happened. Our good friend Peter Richardson, who we mentioned before, who films with us at a lot of these places, he was there, and my back was killing me. Like I said, I hadn't slept now in whatever it would be 36 hours or something. My back was hurting, my lower back. He was like, "You want me to crack your back?" And I said, "Yes, please." He cracked my back, and it was like the most cracks I'd ever had. And immediately, my lower back felt better.
A lot of stuff that I don't like missing out. It's like something I hate to do is miss out. And I've heard about this back crack 45 times now. I'm sad I wasn't
a great
there.
moment.
Do you recall your other best back crack?
I do. It was at Parks Casino outside Philadelphia in 2022, where I think we were driving my car. And I was driving the whole time. We drove all the way to like a Ted Cruz thing in the middle of Pennsylvania, and then drove another thing for a guy who was running for governor. And then we went and ate at this casino, and my back was really hurting, and you cracked my back, and it was a wonderful back crack. It was a wonderful one. And I thank you for that. You did wonderful. So I don't know whose was better. Both of them were memorable and great. Anyway, after all those interviews and eating, we tried to go to sleep because I was so tired. I went and laid down. I could not fall asleep again. I probably got 2 hours of sleep
buddy.
Next day.
Oh.
And
Nothing worse than being tired.
exactly. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And the next morning, we decided we were going to go inside. We were going to go inside the convention. We kind of like not gone inside the convention floor the first day, maybe like for a very short amount of time. And I thought it would be fun to share some of the cool shirts that I saw inside.
Yeah, please.
You want to read it out loud?
Gunaholic. It looks like a black shirt folded up on a table here. It says Gunaholic with a bunch of different kinds of guns under it.
I'm a gunaholic.
I'm a gunaholic.
Yeah.
And then it says on the road to recovery. Then it says, just kidding, I'm on the way to the gun shop. What a weird shirt with so many different steps and stages. I'm a gunaholic. So that's like adding a holic to the end of something is usually like bad.
It's a bad thing.
But then it's like, I'm in recovery. Oh, just kidding. I'm going to buy more. Okay.
Here's another one.
It says, the problem is not guns, and there's 2 pistols on either side. It's hearts without God, homes without discipline, schools without prayer, courts without justice.
So if you wanted to stop the mass shootings, you need to bring the belt out, is what I'm hearing from them.
Right. You need more discipline, more prayer, and courts without justice.
But I like the design of these shirts because it is so poorly designed that it almost made me want one because it looks so bad. But I didn't I didn't bite the bullet, so to speak. Also, some celebrities there, some celebrity sightings. And I actually got my picture taken with celebrities. You know who this is?
Chuck Liddell.
Yeah.
That might be news to me. I don't remember. I don't remember hearing about this. Chuck Liddell was at the gun convention. I thought he was a fighter, like non-guns. I would think guns would be like. I would think he would not like guns. If you're a guy who fights with his fists and feet, you'd think guns are unfair.
That's true. That's true. Yeah, you'd think like you'd be like, but I guess if somebody else had a gun, I wouldn't want to just have my fists up, you know. I also want to share here at the NRA convention. It's not just guns, okay? It's not just brawn, I guess. If you will.
It's not just for tough guys. Is that what you're saying?
Exactly. It's not just brawn. It's also beauty. There's the
wow.
concealed carry fashion show, which was a Saturday at 6 p.m. And you can strut your stuff while concealing a deadly weapon, which was very funny. It was very funny. So sadly, we left on Saturday before the misconcealed carry fashion show. Would have loved to go. Yeah. $25 though. Kind of steep. But I have one more photo. And this is totally unrelated to guns. You were saying that it's all like a gun fetish, Ron. Well, you're going to eat your words right now, okay?
Okay, looking forward to it.
A booth, a seminar that had nothing to do with guns. Nothing to do with guns at all. And it was the... Do you want to read this out loud? What it says? You don't have to read all of it. I know there's lots of words here.
Why gold now? Meet the experts. Plus, meet country music legend Larry Gatlin. So they're trying to get you to buy gold?
It's all about gold. And like the two guys on this are very funny looking. It's this guy, Mike Fulentz?
Fulentz. Doctor. He's a doctor, though, to be respected.
This guy, I just can't get his headshot
Forrest
out of my head.
Hamilton. He's like a younger guy, and he's got his finger to his temple like he's thinking. Really hard. Seen on ABC's Shark Tank, it looks like there. So is he like, I've thought about it. I really thought about this, guys, and gold is the answer.
Trying to get the pose right.
Jason's kind of doing the pose just right. Oh, I didn't see his other hand in there. Well, Forrest Hamilton's got it figured out. 3-time NBA All-Star. That's not true.
So you can buy gold there. You can buy gold, which is like, that is a thing. Like there, you see a lot of survival stuff. You see a lot of huge guns and stuff, like military stuff you can like pick up and play with, even guns that are illegal.
But it's because it's the same crowd that's watching late night infomercials where it's like, buy this commemorative coin, invest in gold. And they're like, we got these people here in person. Let's have them talk to the country music star Larry Gatlin.
Once you get Larry Gatlin at your seminar, bam, you gotta hit that up. I don't know why that tickled me. I think it was just Forrest's headshot just made me laugh more than the content of the thing, I guess. Mm-hmm. So we have on this Saturday when we're going around, there was a little bit of an altercation that happened.
Oh no!
I talked to some of the people at Newsmax.
Oh yikes!
Newsmax, and I interviewed one of I think he was an opinion host there.
You interviewed the interviewer.
I interviewed the interviewer. And we got into some election denial stuff. I'll find it because I've never like gone through the footage because like of what happened after this. It was just like so annoying that I just like, and plus there was so much other stuff that happened. But I think he kind of got caught stumbling over himself when I was asking him talking about election lies and what he would say on air versus what Trump says, and because he wanted to like back Trump, but he wouldn't. So I got in this, it wasn't really an altercation. He was just kind of like, oh, he's kind of stumbling over his words. He couldn't answer some of these questions. So that happens. And we were kind of like, let's get away from here.
Just
We go up
uncomfortable. It was time to just mosey a little bit.
to mosey.
Yeah.
So we went upstairs, and upstairs it was the actual annual meeting. And it's funny, I have this right here.
He's getting something he's got here. Oh, wow. The annual meeting of members. Is that a pamphlet or a booklet? May 28th,
it's a booklet.
2022. Is that what it says?
And that was the day that and this was the meeting that I was going to. It was the minutes from it or something. And so to get into this, I hate to say, and you are part of this problem too, DeVrom. We had to become NRA members. We
That's
joined
right.
for the $30. And
$30, you get a year of membership, and you'll become a better marksman.
yeah.
I think.
And you get a free membership
part of
to
what you're
Gun and Knife
exchanging for
magazine
that.
or something.
Yeah.
But
Also, why knives? There's always knives at these things. It's just just ways to hurt people.
It's a different way to kill someone, yeah.
Yeah.
So go upstairs after this Newsmax interview and see that there's this event hall. And we would go inside and then just see that the NRA president, Wayne LaPierre, is just there on stage talking to a room that is more than half empty of NRA members who are going up one by one and speaking into a microphone about issues.
And I've talked to you
airing
about
their
this
grievances.
before. Airing their grievances, exactly. So it would be people saying this or that wasn't repaired in this building, kind of very low level complaints.
So we go in there, and after not knowing this was even happening, and seeing that Wayne LaPierre is up there, and then listening to what the people were saying, and a lot of people were very critical of Wayne LaPierre and wanting new leadership, things like that. And then started thinking, and then I started texting you, because you couldn't be there, but we were still texting. And I was like, hey, there's a microphone here. I think I can get up and speak. And we were texting back and forth about what's a funny thing to do. We've done so many of these things in the past where it's just interrupting and whatever. And then you have it could be a very funny 20 seconds. But here it seemed there's an opportunity where you can have your 3 minutes and say whatever you want to say. So then we were kind of going back and forth, and I was just writing in my notes a speech and kind of piggybacking off of what people were doing in the room and the vibe that I was getting, which was one side was very against Wayne LaPierre and the other side was for him and heartfelt, almost crying sometimes, saying how much they loved Wayne LaPierre and how great he was for the NRA. And I had written, talking to some of the people, and there's a video out there of it, explaining, asking if there was a moment after all these mass shootings, then naming the mass shootings. And I had a list of all these mass shootings. So I was well, maybe there's a way to combine all of these things into one thing. And it ended up being the Thoughts and Prayers video. That was written probably in 10 minutes, 15 minutes before going up there.
And I don't want to set it up with too much fanfare, but, imagining this opportunity to speak kind of directly to Wayne LaPierre, there was this shooting. This was one of the most tragic shootings that's ever happened in this country. So many have been so horrible, but this was at an elementary school, and so many kids had died, and this was happening just days later, just hours away from it. And I think you and me and a big part of the country wanted to kind of talk to Wayne LaPierre and the NRA and all these people who are so obsessed with guns. So it all kind of came together in this moment, which I think is pretty interesting and captivating.
Waiting there, going up and realizing, hoping I was on the right side, and just seeing the 5 people that I'd seen before and just was like, it seems like everyone's introducing themselves and saying where they're from. I guess I'm going to say that when I get up there.
I'll do the same thing. Yeah.
I'll just do the same thing. And then basically it was just reading and improving this speech that was written minutes before. And I think I like up until like a minute before I started speaking.
And that's all I have to say. Thank you.
The chair recognizes the gentleman at microphone 1A.
Thank you. My name is Jason Selvig, and I'm from West Palm Beach, Florida. And I would like to say that I am sick and tired of the left-wing media, and frankly, people in this room today spreading misinformation about Wayne LaPierre. Whenever there's a mass shooting, they all say that Wayne LaPierre isn't doing enough to stop these mass shootings, and even implying that Wayne LaPierre has played a part in making it easier for these shooters to get guns, to get weapons. You heard it after Las Vegas. You heard it after Pulse nightclub in Orlando. You heard it after Columbine. You heard it after Parkland. You heard it after Virginia Tech. You heard it after Sandy Hook. You heard it after El Paso. You heard it after Buffalo. You kept hearing that Wayne LaPierre isn't doing enough. And frankly, that's not true. The NRA, under Wayne LaPierre's leadership, has provided thoughts and prayers to the victims and their families. And maybe these mass shootings would stop happening if we all thought a little bit more and we prayed a little bit more. So I'm asking everyone in this room to think, to pray. Give your thoughts and your prayers and your thoughts and your prayers and your prayers and your thoughts. And if we give enough of these thoughts and these prayers, these mass shootings will stop. So I want to thank you, Wayne LaPierre, for all your thoughts and all your prayers. Thank you.
I haven't watched that in a long time, and I got nervous watching it. Like
it's
just,
great.
Watching yourself, but also just like watching. Like
yeah.
it was like a very you know this feeling probably better than you're the only other person I know that knows this feeling of like just like the adrenaline that's going and like feeling your heart pumping out of your chest when you're doing something.
Also, without like much preparation, like you said, kind of writing it in the few minutes before.
It was nerve-wracking. I mean, glad I did it. There was a moment where I was like, I don't need to do this. I just gotten into like a little bit of a thing with somebody. I was like, my flight's in 4 hours. I don't need this. I don't need to do anything here.
Yeah, but you had the extra couple of minutes. You still made your flight.
The extra. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
So, we stayed in for a little bit afterwards, after the speech, just to be like not so strange. Because, you know, you've got footage you want to get out of there and you don't want everyone knowing who's with who and all this stuff. And so I stayed in there. And then right when I was about to leave, they were wrapping up. I think I was one of the last speakers there. Some of the people cleared out a little bit. I took a photo of myself that I was looking today when you were saying find some pictures from it. And this is of me. I am so fucking tired. I'm so fucking tired.
Yeah, you look tired. You look like you have really big hair, and you're pointing at the stage there, where with the backdrop where LaPierre and the others are sitting. Right, that's the room.
Yeah, that's the room. It was there was definitely less people there than what you could see in the speech, but it was So it was that was a very tiresome experience.
Yeah.
And what happened after I got into a little bit of an altercation with that Newsmax reporter. Mm-hmm. We'll talk about that in our bonus episode on herohero.co/thegoodliars. So you can support us there. it was an interesting experience. I don't even like thinking about it because it was like the roller coaster of this, like going from that and then going outside, trying to do an interview, and then having this guy start like following me and being very angry it wasn't a fun way to end the NRA convention.
Yeah. You know, sometimes it's like, let's get out of here while we still feel good about everything. And that probably put a little bit of damper on it. But for a moment of truth here, should we have a moment of truth about guns?
Let's do it. Let's have a moment of truth about it.
You know, after thinking about the NRA convention, hearing what you had to say, hearing stories from the one that I missed and thinking about the one that I went to, I've been thinking that, you know, the truth about guns is that they're kind of fun to fire. You know what I mean? It's fun to like shoot at a target. It's fun but it gets a lot dicier when you give it any more thought than that. You find out that, you know, there are about 1.3 guns for every person in the United States. That's way too many. It's the highest rate in the world. And then you realize that we're also the country with the most mass shootings in the world. And you know, people talk about mental health, or people say automobiles are dangerous. Why don't we ban those? But that's obvious. That's a dumb thing to say. People need cars to get places. It's the guns. It just is. It's the guns. Guns are everywhere. They exist to hurt people. That's why they exist. And we have them everywhere. And the truth is that it's not a coincidence that we have all these guns and all these gun deaths. So the truth is that our listeners from the NRA might not like to hear it. I'm sure we have lots of members of the NRA that listen to our podcast. They might not like to hear it. But it's the guns. Guns kill people. So thoughts and prayers to the government to do something about these guns, which means, unfortunately, that the truth is that probably nothing will happen.
Ay. That is a truth and a sad truth. I'm probably going to get shot and killed by a gun. I don't know if I had to guess. Anyway, thank you for that moment of truth, DeVrom. That does it for this episode of The Good Liars Tell the Truth. The truth about the NRA convention in Houston, Texas. Wow, DeVrom, that was a heavy one. We're kind of a trip down memory lane. I forgot. I hadn't thought about it in a little bit now. So, but yeah, I'm glad we dove into that. And
you know, join us for our bonus episode on Hero Hero at herohero.co/thegoodliars. Right, we're going to talk a little more about something important on there.
Yeah, some Newsmax, some breaking Newsmax. Also, we got some live shows coming up in Washington, D.C. on May 23rd, Nashville, Tennessee on June 6th, Los Angeles, California, June 25th, and San Francisco, California on June 26th. You can get the tickets at goodliars.com. If you're wondering what the live show is, it's called Good Liars Fix America. And we've basically realized that all this filming we've done over the last decade is actually research. And we've actually researched all these divisive issues in America, and we're using that research to solve some of America's biggest problems. Plus, we're going to see never-before-seen videos and things like that at the show. It's a fun live comedy show. You can get the tickets at goodliars.com. But before we end this episode of The Good Liars Tell the Truth, DeVrom, I have to ask you a question. I need you to tell me the truth here.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have any words of wisdom?
Your self-worth is determined by you. You don't have to depend on someone else telling you who you are.
That's stupid. Ugh, you're worthless for saying that, DeVrom. You're worthless.
Maybe you should be telling that to Beyonce, who said
Whoa! Yeah. No, I take it back. Yeah. I know. Queen Bee, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. All right, that does it for The Good Liars Tell the Truth. We'll see you next time. Apologies to Beyonce. I did not mean that.
No, but you said it.
But we're talking about the NRA convention. And before we get into the story of the Newsmax guy, who, due to lack of preparation, I haven't even looked up his name. from this. But I want to show one more video from the convention. Just it's always fun to see people's shirts, and this was a fun shirt.
Do you think that gun owners are unfairly looked at as being aggressive and being violent?